पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्त्वनिवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let's chant verses number 6 and 7. Actually, let's do 5, 6 and 7, all three of them. Number 5. Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanasthaha shuchi samagriva shirashariraha atyashramastha sakalendriyani Nirudhya bhaktya swagurum pranamya. Number 6. Hritpundarikam virajam vishuddham vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam. I'll repeat it again. Hritpundarikam virajam vishuddham vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam achintyam avyaktam anantarupam Shivam prashantam amritam brahmayonim Achintyam avyaktam anantarupam Shivam prashantam amritam brahmayonim. Number 7. Tamadi madhyanta vihinamekam Vibhum chidanandarupam Rupam arupam adbhutam Tamadi madhyanta vihinamekam Vibhum chidanandam arupam adbhutam Uma sahayam parameshwaram prabhum Trilochanam neelakantham prashantam Uma sahayam parameshwaram prabhum Trilochanam neelakantham prashantam Dhyatva munirgacchati bhutayonim Samasta sakshim tamasaf parastat Dhyatva munirgacchati bhutayonim Samasta sakshim tamasaf parastat. So, what we did last week was to go over verse number 5, Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanastha shuchi samagriva shirashariraha, etc. So verse number 5 should be looked upon as a introduction and a preparation for the real meditation. So, it's kind of like whenever you are preparing something, like say, your dinner, supposing you have to cook. What you need to do is to make sure that you've got all the ingredients and you are ready to put them together. And so you arrange for things to be there so that you don't have to fumble and discover, oops, I forgot, I didn't buy this from the shop. So you have to do the shopping. You've got to cut some of the things, keep it all ready, and all of that. And then you start cooking. So the real cooking is with fire. But before you get to that point, there is a certain preparation involved. So similarly here also, in the Vedantic meditation, which is called Nididhyasanam, there is a preparation involved. And the preparation is to have your mind ready to go into some very subtle subjects and to make it nice and steady, and to make the meditation effective. So to make it effective means you have to find a quiet place and a quiet time, and to be clean in terms of your body, mind, and so on. Clothing also is important. Your cleanliness of the body, cleanliness of the mind. We saw all that. I'm just repeating. So this is all preparation. So the verse number 5 was Vivikta Deshe. That Vivikta Deshe means to a isolated place. Sukhasanastha, to have a asana which is sukham, which is comfortable. All of that we saw. So this is number 5, the preparation for the Nididhyasanam. Verse number 6 today is the actual Nididhyasanam. This is where the cooking is. And so here, I have been saying this for quite a while, if you've been attending these classes, that the Vedantic meditation is not Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It is Nididhyasanam. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in our view, is also a preparation. So how is that a preparation? Because see, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, real Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I mean, I shouldn't say real Nirvikalpa. Nirvikalpa is real, means thoughtless state. So one can argue that isn't what Vedanta also teaching the same thing, that the nature of the human being is a thoughtless samadhi? So I don't understand why you are making a distinction between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and Nididhyasanam, because aren't you also achieving Nididhyasanam as a thoughtless samadhi? And so the yogic practice also is doing the same thing through yama, niyama, all those 8 Patanjali steps. In the end, you say that it is, I am steady without any thoughts, and I'm really enjoying it, and I have a steady, thoughtless state of being. That's what Nirvikalpa Samadhi is, and this is what I'm achieving. And I haven't studied any of your spiritual literature. I haven't gone to any guru. All I want to do is to practice being myself. And I'm lucky that I've been able to achieve this, and I'm now happy, and I have a thoughtless slate. So what's the problem? I don't understand. Why isn't that enough? And this was really in our teaching with Swami Dayanandji, This was a major topic of discussion and question answers and clarity and so on. So Swamiji says in Vedanta, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is just a preparation. It is not the actual Nididhyasana. Why? How can you say that? Swamiji said, listen, think about it. In your practice of Savikalpa first and Nirvikalpa Samadhi, what your conclusion is that I am a living being. I'm a living being with all of its qualities. The living being with problems, with thoughts, association with the body. Association with the body is a problem because the bodily problems become your problem. So we saw all of it. So this is you enter the Nirvikalpa Samadhi with the conclusion that I am a living being. I have prana, I have body, and I have mind, thoughts, and so I am a limited being. This is what is called jiva. So jiva means pranadharanam, the one who holds the prana, the one who is subject to being alive is called a living being. So your conclusion is that I am a living being, and now I am doing Nirvikalpa Samadhi. As a living being, I am doing Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Okay? And as a Nirvikalpa Samadhi doer, my thoughts of being a living being are abated. They are not there anymore. Now, your Nirvikalpa Samadhi is going to be time bound. By definition, it is time bound. So Samadhi means Samahita Buddhi is called Samadhi. That means that you have resolved your thoughts for the time being. And after a while, no matter how adept you might be, it could be half hour, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, whatever long it is, you have to come out of it. Why do I have to come out of it? Because this is the way things are. You will need to go back. Why? Because you may have to go to the bathroom. Or your hunger will raise its head and say, body will say, I need some food, guys. I'm happy that you're doing Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but I haven't had anything in my stomach for 6 hours. And I need something. You want me to function or not? If you want me to function, I need some nutrition. So it's going to raise your hunger is going to bother you. Something will happen. You cannot have infinite in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When you come out of it, your basic thought that I am a living being, a jiva, will still be there. Isn't it? So that being the case, your sense of limitation is temporarily abated, but not permanently eliminated. This being the case, we do not consider Nirvikalpa Samadhi as the ultimate. Then how do we consider it to be ultimate? As we were discussing in the earlier class, Vedanta is very unique in its spiritual vision, and it says that you are not a limited jiva. You are really non-different from the ultimate, which is Brahman, which is someone who is not limited to begin with. You can call it God, you can call it Ishvara, you can call it Brahman, you can call it Paramatma, whatever you may call it, Shiva. It is the unlimited, unencumbered, timeless, never-born entity, and you are it. Because you cannot define an unlimited person without you also being there, isn't it? It makes so much logical sense. You see, so you can just look at this. You can say that God is unlimited. Unlimited means infinite. The very definition of God is to be unlimited, because you cannot define God to be almost unlimited. Almost unlimited means what? That means that there is something other than God. That's not the right definition of God. God means one who is totally unlimited. If he is totally unlimited, then it must be you also, isn't it? You cannot say the God is unlimited, but I don't know, I am different from God. I am not unlimited. I am just limited. So the limited is different from the unlimited. This is not mathematics. This is not ordinary math. This is stupidity. That infinity is limited by finity. My thoughts go back to, it was so funny in my life. Not funny, it was really a problem. And when I first came to my graduate school at Berkeley in 1964, January of 1964, I entered the graduate school in electrical engineering. And my professor, my advisor, Dr. Wartenberg, told me, he looked at so I had gotten the admission somehow or the other, I don't know how I managed to get it. And my advisor said, let me look at your all the courses that you've taken. And I still remember him. I was sitting there, I'm brand new to the US. I just came from India. I was 23 years old, and I'm just sort of I'm sitting there in front of this huge professor who's much older than me and so on. So he says, oh, so you've done this. Have you taken some courses? I don't see any courses in physics. And what about math, some basic, what is it? There was a math course, I forget. some basic math courses. Have you done that? So I said, no. So he says, you know what? I would think that you would need to take some remedial undergraduate courses, and I will accept you in the master's program, but at the same time you need to make sure that you understand this. So I said, sure, okay. So I went there and I got into a basic undergraduate math course. And in there were some questions. And the way I answered them, I thought this is very simple. This is very easy to do. And I just answered it. When I got my paper back, I got a C. I was shocked. I don't think I've ever gotten a C before. And I went up to the professor and I says, I don't understand this. He said, you know, I asked you to prove this equation. And the way you proved it is not proper. That's not the way I was looking for. You just said, you know, the left and the right hand side are the same, and so therefore they must be the same. That's not what I was looking for. I want a derivation which stands on its own. And first of all, I didn't understand what he was saying, but finally, after thinking about it, I said, oh my God, he's right. I do deserve a C. And so anyway, I remember that incident so much. So my view of Ishvara being infinite cannot be true unless I am infinite. So this is what the Vedantic view is. This is what we were discussing in the earlier class, that we are unique in saying that the jiva is none other than Ishvara. None other than Brahman itself. There's only Paramatma, Jivatma is just a designation. It's like there's only one space. You cannot have multiple spaces. You can have some limited space because of certain functions. But there's only one space. You can make it look like a small space, but it isn't. You cannot cut space. There's only one space, which is infinite. So therefore, Vedanta says that you are already perfect. So therefore, any kind of a nirvikalpa samadhi, which would say that I am temporarily okay, but when I come out of it, I am back to being a jiva. This is not what you need to do. You can do it if you want to, but you need to inquire whether or not I am limited to begin with. And you are not. This is what Vedanta is saying. You are not. It is due to some problems. Resolve those. Inquire into it. That is called nididhyasana. And so, in order to inquire into it, you have to see where your mistakes are. Where your mistakes are. I had talked about this in the Tuesday night class, that how to de-identify. And one of the things that we said was that if you study Vedanta and all of the revelations, all of the visions that it has, and you say, yes, that makes sense, yes, absolutely, yes, so on and so forth, and yet your life is not fulfilling the primacy of Vedanta. You still feel, I am just still a human being, nothing has changed, I feel a little bit better, I'm better informed than before, but I'm pretty much doing the same things and so on. That means that the full value of your self-evaluation has not yet taken place. Why? What's the issue? What else do I need to do? Because if you asked me to study Vedanta, I have studied Vedanta, I'm taking classes, but I'm pretty much more or less the same. I'm a little bit better, I'm happy, I'm not criticizing you. I'm happy when attending your classes, but pretty much the same. Why? How? So there we discussed it in the Tuesday night class, that it is very much like an engineer, a qualified engineer, one who has gone through all the, let's say even a software, a person who knows software very well. He studied the software language and he can design some sophisticated models, artificial intelligence, all of that. You're very well qualified. And so your boss says, okay, I want you to please look into this kind of a software and make sure that it works. Okay, so as you know, the coding is done where you do all of the steps involved, the if statements and branches and so on and so forth. If this happens, then this happens, and so you construct all this. And you feed some data into it, and it still doesn't work. So when that happens, there's you feel I'm qualified because I have studied the fundamentals of the language of programming, the software programming. I've done all of that, but still it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that I have to throw everything out and then just go, become a lawyer and say I'm not cut out to being an engineer. No. All you have to do is to debug. That is what it is. So debugging is very natural. It is a miracle if the first time you do something, it just works exactly as you expected. It won't. But there is nothing to be lost. You have to continue to refine it so that all the bugs are taken out and you say, okay, this one is better, this one is better. Now it works. So in Vedanta also what we have to do is the basic learning is of course there, but now you have to debug it. Where are the things that I'm making a mistake on? And if you do that, you will see that your results get improved gradually in your life, and at some point in time it works. And your understanding of that I am infinite, and this is what it means, the acceptance of God. That's another way to look at it. That your acceptance of God is not complete until you have resolved your sense of separation completely. And your sense of separation is not going to be resolved until your fundamental doubts are addressed. And you have to address it one by one. This is what debugging each step means. Now we come to the verse number 6. And the verse number 6 is to really debug it one step at a time. And so here Swami Viditatmananda mentions this so nicely and so very appropriately, and I said that last time also, that the Atma is very simple. The I, the Atma, the Paramatma, very simple. It's very straightforward. There's nothing obtuse about it. And so it means Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It is It is knowledge and it is infinite. Satchidananda. That's it. There's nothing, and you just have to see that. Why? Because my understanding of what Sat and Chit and Ananda are all mixed up in things. There's some confusion there. Once that confusion is resolved, you're done. Should be that simple. So in verse number 6, we have a long series of words which we will go through now. Why? Why do you have to define something so simple in such complicated terms? Hrit pundarikam virajam vishuddham vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam achintyam avyaktam ananta rupam shivam prashantam amritam brahmayonim tamadi madhyanta vihinam ekam vibhum chidananda rupam adbhutam. So many words, and number 7 also is going to have some more. Why? Swami Viditatmananda also points this out, that really speaking, even though the Vastu, the one that we are, Vastu means God, Vastu means the infinite one, is very simple, but our view of myself and how I am different from the infinite is very complicated. Because I have had a lot of experiences in my life. So for example, a child is not going to understand any one of them. So for example, take the word Virajam. Virajam means pure, not impure. The child is not going to understand. If you have a little toddler and he says, you have to teach purity. You have to say, if the child picks up something, supposing there is a candy and it's lying there on the ground, shiny there and attractive, the child is going to pick it up. And so the mom and dad will say, hey baby, don't pick it up. It is dirty. Dirty? What do you mean by dirty? It's something nice. I can just have it. No. Because it is mixed up with dirt. You can't have dirty things. So therefore, the child doesn't know the understanding of what dirty is. But as we become experienced in our life, we find that we have things that we are afraid of that are dirty. You have to put a mask on so that you don't get COVID. And so the child has to be told, put a mask on. And the child says, what? Why should I put a mask on? Just put it on, okay? You don't understand. So we have a lot of ideas about what bothers me. What can bother me? And so we need to really look into each one of them. If you want to be the unlimited one, excuse me. So if you want to be the unlimited one, then you have to address all forms of limitations that you are convinced about. You can say, for example, okay, describe yourself. So you can say, my sugar levels are very high in the blood. And I've got some problems with my skin. And I also saw so many problems. And by the way, my knees are aching. Another problem. Like this, you can have multiple different ways of describing yourself. I'm getting old, and all kinds of issues. and so on and so forth. So, Vedanta says, no, you're not the body, you're not this, you're not this, you're not neti neti iti adesha. Not this, not this, not this. You are the pure. So all of the not this that we have to be expressed specifically, addressed specifically. So that's the reason for so many words. So now let's do this. Let us first look at each word individually and see what that means. And then later on, we will put it together in the form of nididhyasana, a meditation which goes into the freedom from all kinds of limitations. But first we need to understand the words as to what it is. So let's go through that. That's going to take some time and perhaps even the rest of the class today. And then hopefully in the next few classes we will now translate the introduction to the words by having the actual nididhyasanam on. So this is what is called Vedantic Meditation. And the result of the Vedantic meditation will be that the freedom from being just a limited living being will be gone forever. Once the debugging is done and the circuit works, the software works, you're done. So there's no time limitation to samadhi. There's no coming out of the samadhi. You for the rest of your life, for the rest of your existence, it is samadhi, natural samadhi. This is the promise of nididhyasana. So with that, let us go through this list of words, which looks like a long list, but I think each one of them is important because of the limitations that we think we have. Okay? So, so in this case, so here, both the 6 and number 7 need to be looked at. Why? Because in number 7, you have the summation of both 6 and 7. So at number 7, so in fact let me do this. If you look at the on this verse, in the second to the last line of verse 6, so he says tam adhi madhyanta vihinam ekam. So there is a word called tam. You see that? So tam adi madhya anta viniham. Tam. So that means that. In fact, if you look at the translation or the word translation here on page number 97, on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on line number 6, there is tam. So tam means that. Knowing that. So tam is really the substance that we are looking for. The Brahman, the Paramatma, the Ishvara that we are looking for is defined as tam, that. Because that is not this yet. That will become this. In fact, it will become I once it is understood. But at this stage, it is apparently different from me. So you start at that point. It's called tam. So then we can now connect that tam to the last two lines of verse number 7. So tam dhyatva munir gacchati bhuta yonim samasta sakshim tamasav parastat. So we can now put an English translation to it. Dhyatva means thinking about that kind of a tam, you become free. Munir gacchati. Munir means mananashila, one who is thinking. So one of the, this is, I've been saying this again and again. I hope that you don't get tired of it. But really the nididhyasanam is thoughtful meditation. Not just, so freedom requires thinking. And that thought is called dhyatva. Dhyatva means having thought over this. Because there is a certain doubt that comes from some problems, that the problems are not there, but it comes up with some doubts that prevent me from seeing what I am. So to think about it is called dhyatva. Tam dhyatva, knowing that, the munihi gacchati bhuta yonim. Then we will see the rest of it later on. But what I wanted to do was to connect number 6 and 7. And Swami Viditatmananda also has made that clear. So when you read this text yourself, you will also get a second confirmation of this. So 6 and 7 are connected, and it should be seen as knowing that. So that is the noun. And all the qualities of that are now we are going to study. Virajam, Vishuddham, Vichintya, all of that. But tam dhyatva munir gacchati bhuta yonim. Bhuta yonim, we will see what it is. So knowing that a munihi means the person like you and I who is dedicated to thinking, is called a muni, mananashila, of analyzing, is called muni. So that muni, that jiva who has acquired the ability to think, having thought over that, bhuta yonim gacchati samasta sakshim tamasav parasta. You go over on beyond doubts. So samasta sakshim tamasav parastat. Tamasa means darkness, ignorance. You go beyond ignorance. What is the ignorance? The ignorance is that I am just a human being. I am not the sakshi. I am the appliance, not the electricity. That is the ignorance. The sakshi and the appliance jiva have gotten mixed up together. And so to say that I am really just the sakshi, tamasav parastat. You go beyond tamas. As we say in the prayer in the very end. So we say, asato ma satgamaya. May you, so this is a prayer at the end. Asato ma sadgamaya. May you take me from asat, one which is not true, to truth. Asato ma sadgamaya. Please take me from untruth to truth. Then the second one is, so asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Take me from darkness to light. Darkness means full of doubts, to light. So that is the same tamas. So here's tamas of parastat. And then it says, so asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. So mrityu means the one that comes to an end. Anything that ends is called mrityu, limitation, death. Take me from death to, take me from mortality to immortality. And you go from mortality to immortality through knowledge. You don't physically become, because you're never mortal to begin with. You are already immortal, but you don't realize it. You're not accepting it. No, I'm very mortal. And so why? Because you're associated with things that are mortal. You're associated with a body which is mortal. You are not mortal. So disassociating yourself, you are already immortal and you will stay as immortal. So that is what is called tamas of parastat. So dhyatva, tam dhyatva munirgacchati bhutayonim. So you have to rearrange the words a little bit just to get the sense of it. So this is what is called anvaya. Anvaya means that you have to rearrange the words the way we understand it. This is poetry. This is all poetry. It's pundarikam virajam vishuddham vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam, like that. Then in the end there is a word called tam, adi madhyanta vihinamekam. So you have to extract the word tam and put it in prose, not poetry. And that prose is tam dhyatva munirgacchati bhutayonim. So this is how it should be taken. So I just wanted to clarify that. Tam. Now that tam is described in the various forms. So that tam is Hrit Pundarikam. Hrit Pundarikam. So the question is, where will I find it? What is the location of the tam that I should be looking for? And it says, it's in your own heart. Hrit means the heart. Pundarikam means the lotus, the form of a lotus. So a closed lotus, if you look at the lotus flower, when it is closed, because the lotus has a quality that when the sun comes out, it flowers, and when the darkness comes, it becomes closed. Very beautiful. And the way when it is closed, it looks like a lotus bud, kind of like what my hand is, much smaller and much more shapely. That is the shape of a heart. So the physical shape of the heart is also kind of like a closed lotus bud. So Hrit Pundarikam means, really it just means what. So we're not looking at the physical aspects of where thumb is. We're looking at, this is just a conceptual poetry. It means thumb means, again, thumb means Ishvara. Thumb means God. Thumb means Paramatma. Thumb means Brahman. Thumb means Shiva. All these is thumb. Where is it? You will find in your own heart. This is the beginning. In my own heart? Why not in my arms? Why is the difference between a heart and my rest of the body? Why the heart? Is it only in the heart and not the rest of the body? No, that's not what the meaning is. The meaning is that it's in the core of your being. Core of your being. So, the core of your being is your heart. Your heart is the one that begins you. I remember this just last year when our younger son and his wife had a baby. Now she's almost 10 months old, so when she was in the womb of her mother, this baby, it was very exciting that the young parents nowadays, now I think when we had kids it was not possible to do that, could see a video of this little one that starts to beat with the heart. So you have a very small beginning, and at one time the birth of this baby is not moving. And so then my son and his wife were very excited to send us a video of the heart beginning. And so this movement of the heart was the very core of the being. That's when it says this is alive. And so the heart is the core of the being. That's the always, and even now. So for example, when you say I, you don't say I am telling you. You don't say that. You'll say I am telling you. You don't say I am telling you. You don't say the arms. It's very natural. And you don't say the brain. In fact, you say the brain because you say, why are you bothering me? In Hindi, we use, those of you that know Hindi, when we grew up, we will say, तुम मेरा सिर क्यों खा रहे हो? Sir means the head. So, sir ko kyun kha rahe ho? That means, why are you bothering? Why are you, literally it means, why are you eating my head? क्यों खा रहे हो? Means stop bothering me. So the brain is there as a sense of thinking and broad, and all that. That's the different aspects of it. But the core of the being is this. I am telling you, please believe me. So you point out to the heart. So there it is said, and this is a very important thing to see in Vedanta, in the spiritual teaching of the Vedanta. It says the truth of the matter is God is in you, but not yet revealed. It is hidden in your heart. The reality is that every part of my body is nothing but a creation of God. But the core of it, where I can feel it, where I can experience it, is in the core of my heart. Because right now my core of the heart is that I am a separate being. I can move like this and so on and so forth. And I don't know where God is. And hopefully He's helping me. Most of the time I don't know, I don't understand. This is my feeling. But to see, really speaking, that the core of you is really God. In fact, this is the thing. You are not there, it's only God. You're not there. But you have displaced God, not for any fault of yours, but you just don't know it. You've displaced God with a sense of my jivatva. I am the karta, I am the doer, I am the responsible for my life, and so on and so forth. When in fact the truth is just the opposite. And even your sense of thinking and so on and so forth is nothing but an expression of God. And also, any kind of a sense of limitation is not connected to God. That is just a copy of it, a inadequate, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a poor copy. It's a poor copy. It's not an accurate copy. And it's a copy. Copy means that the very nature of the copy means that it is, in the words, I don't mean Xerox copy or anything like that, but supposing you are looking at yourself in the mirror, then you have a copy of you in the mirror. And it is not if the mirror is very clean, then you have a clean copy, but if the mirror is dirty, then you also become dirty. And so really speaking, that is not the reality of you. You are different from your own copy. But right now you think you are the copy. And if you think you are the copy, my gosh, you become very vulnerable. Imagine if you think you are you're looking at, supposing you are standing on the edge of a nice lake which is placid, and you see yourself, and even in the placid lake, there's some waves, and you're also moving. And certainly if there is some pebble gets dropped, then you get completely disfigured. And if it is very dirty, you don't see yourself very clearly. So you are vulnerable in all of the aspects of an uncontrolled copy medium, isn't it? Whereas in fact, you're just the opposite. In fact, that takes us to the first word, Virajam. So, Hrit Pundarikam now we know. I think I spent enough time on it. Hrit Pundarikam means that Tham, Ishvara, is in your own heart. It's not outside. The reality of God is that it is in your own heart. It appears to be outside, but it cannot be. It is like the whole ocean, and you cannot say that the ocean is outside me, the wave. It is the wave. It appears to be outside only if you think yourself only as a wave. So that is the Hrit Pundarikam. Now look at the Virajam. So Virajam means pure. Here the word untainted is used by Swamiji. Pure means that it does not have any raja. So raja means dirt. So Viraja means dirtless, pure. So this should be seen that, so Virajam means, so look at the two words Virajam and Vishuddham. Virajam means free of dirt, and therefore Vishuddham. So there is no foreign object. You see that? So if you go back to the example that we took in a person standing next to a lake. So you have to be standing next to a lake, because if you're standing next to a river, then the flow of the river does not reflect you at all. So we're not taking a river. But if you are standing next to a placid lake, then at least you see your own reflection. But that reflection now is dependent on the state of the lake. And if the lake is dirty, dirty in the sense it's got leaves floating on it or something, then it affects your reflection. But you are never bothered by the reflection. You are different from your reflection. This needs to be understood. The whole creation, so-called creation, is nothing but Ishvara reflected, pardon me, the whole creation is nothing but the Atma, the Ishvara. Ishvara and Atma and Paramatma are all the same, reflected in the medium of the Maya Shakti. And as a reflection, Sorry about that. So as a reflection, you are full of raja, of dirt. Dirt meaning that it is different from the purity of Ishvara, purity of the Atma. It's a reflection. So you are already bothered by the control or the conditioning, or not the control, but the conditioning of the reflection, which has Virajam. It's not Vishuddham. But in order to see the Atma, Tam, which is nothing but in the cave of the heart, which is a pure Sakshi, and we will see this as we will do the meditation. I'm just giving you individual words. So I'm also spending a time in explaining that. So perhaps I should just defer doing that and just look at some pure meaning of the words. So let's do that for the rest of this class. I'm just going to go through the rest of the words, and then we will do more explanation in the next class. So Virajam means free of any contamination, untainted. And therefore Vishuddham. Why is it Vishuddham? Because it is not a copy. It is the real one. So Vichintya. So Vichintya means contemplating, meditating. So you have to now get your mind to appreciate this. It's a self-appreciation. I think I've mentioned that to you, that I like the word appreciating much better than realization. Swami Dayananji, my guru, all used to say that the word realization has gotten so much history behind it that it gives the wrong impression. So this is self-realized soul. You don't realize. So in a way, this is okay. This is not wrong. But it is loaded by our sense of what realization is. Somehow some lightning will strike and all of a sudden I will see this. Instead of that, I think the word appreciation describes it much better. I don't appreciate the qualities of God that are in me that needs to be discovered. I lack appreciation. Why do I lack appreciation? Because somehow it hasn't happened. No one has introduced it to me and I haven't grasped it, but I must appreciate. So Vichintya here can be appreciating. So madhye here means inside. Then again Vishuddham. So these are all different. There are some shades of differences between Virajam and Vishuddham. Here Vishuddham means transparent and clear. See, so that's another. We'll go into that maybe next time. Vishuddham. Vishokam. Vishokam here means without any dukkha, without any grief. Because my view of myself at the moment, which is a copy, is that not only do I have some other issues, but I am not happy yet. So it's very common. You ask somebody, are you happy? Oh yeah, I'm very happy. Very happy, totally happy? Well, not totally happy. Why not? You see, because I've got this to be resolved. And so there's always a sense of unhappiness mixed in with happiness. Here it says Vishoka means there is not even a shadow of unhappiness. Pure joy. So we'll go into this, Vishokam. Achintyam avyaktam. So this needs to be really, all of these words I'm looking forward to unfolding for you. But again, I think in terms of timing, I'm just going to go through this whole thing and just look at the word meaning. Achintyam means unthinkable. So this is an interesting thing. Right now we said vichintya means thinking, meditating. Now you say achintyam. Isn't this they're a pair of opposites? You cannot do both of them. So we'll explain that. Achintyam. Avyaktam. Avyaktam is a very important word. We need to really understand as the very essence of myself. So here, avyaktam means not manifest something in front of me. Anantarupam means there is no limit to its forms. Endless forms. Shivam, again, very, very auspicious. Nothing but good. No non-goodness in it. Prashantam. To shantam. Shanti means peacefulness. Really, it can be argued that peace is really what we want. Even the happiness seems to have some kind of a temporary quality to it. You see that? So for example, you can say, I'm happy. I'm happy. Are you happy? Why are you happy? Why? Because I'm happy. Because whenever I say I'm happy, there's always a sort of a cause involved. You say, I'm happy because for some reason, let's not go into this. So I'm happy because of this. Peacefulness is much more desirable. And happiness is also part of it, but peacefulness means I'm not trying for anything. I'm happy, I'm just okay the way I am. Peacefulness. So prashantam, amritam, immortal. Then Brahmayonim, origin of the creator, difficult word we will go, that's later on, much later. Adi Madhya Ananta Vihinam. So Adi means the beginning, Madhya means the middle, and Anta means the end, devoid of all of them. Ekam. So this is the title of the very Upanishad that we are doing. Kaivalyam. Kevalam ekam means one and one alone. Means unlimited actually. Just like in the case of space, you can say there is only one space. There are not two, there's no competing spaces, there's only one space. Vibhum, all pervading. Chidanandam, so consciousness and Chidanandam, fullness, unlimitedness. Arupam, formless. Adbhutam. Adbhutam here means amazing. I think that's It's a more recent, prevalent word these days. Amazing. You can say wonderful, but wonderful is not as powerful, it's not as strong as incredible, amazing, adbhutam. So those are the words that we use, and we will continue. It will take us a couple of classes to really go over the conceptual significance of each one of these words, and then hopefully what I would do is, just like we did the preparation of the meditation, we will do the actual meditation. And probably only after we finish verses number 6 and 7, then after a couple of classes, we will do either one or multiple nididhyasanams, which gives a much more direct introduction to the meaning of these words that are relevant for each one of us. So we will do that. So with that, I close the class with the prayer. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityur Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Very nice. Good to see you all. Let me know if you had any questions on today's class or any other topic for that matter. I will wait for a couple of minutes. Again, I'm amazed how many of you have attended both the classes. I don't understand how you were able to do so. That's very nice of you. Kirsten, I got your email and I hope you're completely well and completely recovered. It's good to hear from you. Barbara Whiteman, thanks for your email. Really enjoyed watching all that. Your sentiments on the email. Shanti Kumar, you are still in the US, I believe. I don't see any questions per se, so I'll take your leave and we will see you next week. Om.